The laptop case lies empty on my bed, a hollow shell mocking me with its emptiness. My hands tremble as I run my fingers over the inside padding where my computer should be. The computer that holds my entire senior project. The project due tomorrow. Mom? My voice cracks as I step into the kitchen. Have you seen my laptop? It's not in my room. Mom glances up from her magazine, eyes barely registering my presence. No, honey. Did you check the living room? I've already torn apart every room in this house, but I nod and check again because that's what good daughters do. They don't argue. They don't create problems. Dad walks in, loosening his tie after a long day at the office. His eyes narrow when he sees my face. What's wrong now, Rain? Before I can answer, the front door swings open and Corbin saunters in, hair disheveled, smelling faintly of cigarettes. My stomach tightens. Something in his casual stride, the way he avoids my eyes, confirms what I already suspect. Where's my laptop? I ask him directly. Corbin shrugs, heading for the refrigerator. Sold it to Jason Blackwell. He needed one for college and offered me $300. The kitchen goes silent. $300. 4 months of working after school at Miller's Grocery, bagging groceries and enduring misses. Miller's constant criticism, gone in an instant. You sold my laptop? The words feel strange in my mouth, too calm for the hurricane building inside me. The one with my entire senior project on it? The project due tomorrow that determines whether I graduate? Dad steps between us. Did you lock your bedroom door, Rain? I stare at him, disbelief washing over me in cold waves. What? You know how your brother is. Dad sighs, rubbing his forehead. Why create more problems? You should have locked it away properly. My throat burns as memories surface uninvited. Last month, when Corbin skipped school for the 3rd time, I mentioned it at dinner. Mom's face had hardened as she told me to stop creating tension in the house. When my history test received the highest score in class, Dad had barely looked up from his newspaper. When Corbin passed math with a D, they'd taken him out for ice cream. I take a deep breath, steadying myself against the counter. I need $280 by tomorrow morning to replace it. I have to finish my project. Mom sets down her magazine, folding her hands like she's about to explain something to a small child. Honey, you know we're on a tight budget this month. Why don't you use some of your college savings? You can always rebuild that fund later. The suggestion hangs in the air. So reasonable, so logical. Use my own money to fix a problem I didn't create. Borrow from my future to compensate for Corbin's actions. I straighten my spine, blinking back tears that threatened to spill. Without another word, I walk to my room, closing the door softly behind me. Screaming would feel better. Slamming the door would feel better. But I've learned that silence is sometimes the only power I have. Through the thin walls, I hear Corbin's voice in the kitchen, complaining about being hungry. Mom's soothing response follows. I'll heat up dinner for you. There's chicken casserole. I sit at my desk, pulling out sheets of paper and a pen. My hand hovers over the blank page. The project that took me weeks to research and write exists now only in fragments of memory. Tears blur my vision as I begin writing the first line, then the second. I wipe my eyes with the back of my hand, leaving a smudge of ink on my cheek. The house grows quiet as night deepens. I work steadily, my hand cramping, then going numb. Occasional tears drop onto the paper, blurring the ink in perfect circles that dry into warped constellations. Evidence of grief that my teacher will never understand. By morning, I'll have something to turn in. It won't be what it should have been. It won't showcase the research or the careful analysis I'd originally created. But it will be enough to pass. Enough to graduate. Enough to get me one step closer to leaving this house where my voice doesn't matter and my possessions aren't truly mine. I write through the night, each word a promise to myself. A promise that someday, things will be different, and now it is the time to realize it. The next day, the college acceptance letter sits on my desk, its crisp edges now a cruel joke. 2 years have passed since Corbin sold my laptop, 2 years of working double shifts and saving every penny. Yale University. Full academic scholarship, partial housing grant, the dream within reach, until now. What do you mean the account is empty? My voice sounds strange in my ears as I grip the phone tighter. The bank representative clears her throat. The account was closed yesterday, Miss Ellison. The funds were withdrawn in full by the joint account holder. The floor seems to drop away beneath my feet. I sink onto my bed, my free hand clutching at the comforter for stability. My mother withdrew $19,000? I can't provide details on who initiated the transaction, only that it was authorized by a joint account holder. If you have concerns about unauthorized access, I hang up before she finishes. The college fund my grandparents started when I was born. The fund I've added to with every paycheck since high school. Gone. When I step into the kitchen 30 minutes later, Mom and Dad are already seated at the table. Their faces wear identical expressions of practiced concern. A family meeting, then. The kind where decisions about my life have already been made. "Sit down, Rain," Dad says, not looking directly at me. I remain standing. "Where's my college fund?" Mom folds her hands on the table, a gesture I've come to recognize as her preparing to explain something unreasonable. "Corbin got into some trouble last weekend. He needed bail money." "Bail money?" I repeat, the words hollow. "He made a mistake," Dad says, standing to tower over me. "He was with some friends who had drugs in their car. Wrong place, wrong time." Mom nods. "The important thing is that he's home now, and the lawyer thinks we can get the charges reduced." With my college fund, the words feel like stones in my mouth. Family helps family, Rain. Mom reaches for my hand, but I step back. "You've always been the strong one. Corbin needs support right now, not judgment." The front door slams and Corbin saunters into the kitchen, as casual as if he'd just returned from a movie instead of jail. His eyes flick to me and away. He knows. "Hey, Squirt," he says, heading for the refrigerator. "Mom, we got any leftover chicken?" Dad claps him on the shoulder. "We were just explaining to your sister about the legal situation." Corbin grabs a soda, popping the tab with a loud crack. "Yeah, it's all a big misunderstanding. Judge will probably throw it out next month." He looks at me expectantly, waiting for my usual quiet acceptance. My acceptance letter burns in my pocket where I'd stuffed it before coming downstairs. I start at Yale in 8 weeks. Mom's smile tightens. "About that, honey. We think it might be better if you took some time off. Stay local. Community college has those night classes you could take while working." "Your mother's right," Dad adds. "We need to focus on getting Corbin through this rough patch. As a family." The subtext hangs clear in the air. Stay home, keep working, support your brother. Forget your dreams. Besides, Mom continues, her voice taking on that reasonable tone that makes my skin crawl, you could save up again, maybe in a year or 2. Or 3 or 4, Corbin interrupts with a laugh, as if my future is a joke only he gets. I look around the kitchen, the faded yellow curtains my mother has been promising to replace for a decade, the chip in the countertop Dad keeps saying he'll fix next weekend. The calendar on the fridge marked with Corbin's court dates. Nothing for my college orientation. Nothing for my future. That night, I pull my duffel bag from under the bed and pack methodically. 1 pair of jeans, 3 shirts, underwear, toothbrush, the framed photo of my grandparents. My emergency cash $280 saved from tips at the diner, hidden in a tampon box where Corbin would never look. The same amount he got for selling my laptop 2 years ago. The symmetry doesn't escape me. Morning finds me at Hal's Auto, staring at a faded blue 2004 Dodge van with rust spotting the wheel wells like a disease. She ain't pretty. My coworker Tina says, patting the hood, but the engine's solid. My uncle kept her running good. $300 was the asking price, but I could do $280 for you. I run my hand along the side panel. The van is worn but sturdy, a shelter I can own outright. As I count out my savings, every dollar I have in the world, I pause. "Do you have a pen and paper?" Tina rummages in her glove compartment and hands me a crumpled receipt and a ballpoint pen. I stare at the blank side of the paper, pen hovering uncertainly. Should I leave a note explaining why I'm leaving, or would silence be the stronger statement? Words had never worked before, but would disappearing without explanation make me just like them? I pocket the pen and paper, then hand Tina my money. Some questions don't have easy answers. But for the first time in my life, I have the power to decide for myself. I will succeed even with my family sabotage. 3 days later, the police cruiser pulls into the diner parking lot with deliberate slowness. Lights off but presence unmistakable. I keep wiping tables, pretending not to notice how conversation's quiet as the officer steps inside. My back stiffens when he approaches the counter and shows my photograph to Marlene, the manager. "Rain?" Marlene calls, her voice carrying a note of concern I've never heard before. "This officer needs to speak with you." The weight of every customer's stare follows me as I approach. My fingers twist the damp rag I'm still holding. "Rain Ellison?" The officer's voice is neutral. Your parents filed a missing persons report. They're concerned about your welfare. I'm 18, I say, the words barely audible even to myself. I'm not missing. Marlene crosses her arms. Is there a problem, officer? No problem if she calls her parents. He hands me a card with their number scrawled on the back. Save the department sometime. That night, Marlene calls me into her office. Her face holds the practiced neutrality of someone delivering bad news. Your mother called 3 times today. Said you're going through a phase. Mentioned you might be. She hesitates. Unstable. The word hangs between us like poison. I need reliable people, Rain. No drama. She slides my final paycheck across the desk. I'm sorry. The van becomes my entire world after that in weeks to come. I create invisible patterns across town, never staying in one spot more than a single night. Hospital parking garages on Tuesdays and Fridays, they have fewer security patrols those evenings. The library lot on Wednesdays when they close early. The Walmart far from my old neighborhood on weekends, hidden among RVs passing through town. Sleep comes in fitful bursts. Every engine starting nearby jolts me awake. Every security vehicle passing sends my heart racing. I learn to sleep sitting upright behind the wheel, one foot resting near the gas pedal, ready. The worst nights are when rain drums against the roof, not because of the noise but because condensation fogs the windows, obscuring my view of potential threats. Those nights, I wipe circles on the glass every few minutes, scanning the parking lot through bleary eyes. Morning routines form around public places. The recreation center charges $2 for a shower. The library bathroom has large sinks where I can wash my underclothes and hang them to dry in the van later. I brush my teeth in gas station restrooms, timing my visits between truckers' schedules. My greatest fear materializes as a strange grinding noise when I turn the key one morning. The van shudders but starts. I hold my breath at every stoplight, terrified it might die. The $280 that bought this shelter wouldn't cover any significant repairs. Without the van, I'd be truly homeless, sleeping on benches or in alleyways, exposed in ways that make my throat close with panic. I park behind the hospital that night, hidden between delivery trucks. The grinding noise has grown louder. As I curl beneath my blanket, rehearsing tomorrow's plan to find an affordable mechanic, a gentle tap on my window nearly stops my heart. An elderly security guard stands there, his flashlight pointed at the ground. I crack the window an inch, ready to explain, to plead, to drive away if necessary. Thought you might want this. He extends a small flashlight through the opening. My daughter lived in her car for a year. This has a radio in it. Music helps. He walks away before I can respond, his uniform disappearing into the shadows between buildings. 3 weeks later, I'm pumping gas when a familiar beige sedan pulls alongside me. My mother steps out, perfectly coiffed as always, wearing the pleasant mask she reserves for public interactions. Rain. Her voice carries across the space between us like it's reaching across a much greater distance. Everyone's worried sick about you. This has gone on long enough, don't you think? Just come home and stop this nonsense. A man filling his truck watches us with undisguised interest. A woman walks her child wide around us, sensing the tension. The police have been by twice more. Mother steps closer. We told them you've been struggling emotionally. They understand. The gas pump clicks off. I replace the nozzle, close my gas cap with deliberate movements. Just come home, she repeats. What will people think? Do you want to hurt us like this? The question unlocks something in my chest. For months, I've wondered if my silence was punishment, a childish attempt to make them feel the pain they caused. Now I understand its protection. Words gave them ammunition. Silence gives me walls. I am home, I say, gesturing to my van. The shock on her face as I walk away lightens each step. I don't look back. The librarian's name is Martha. She notices me using the same bathroom at the same time 3 days a week. Instead of reporting me, she offers me a job shelving books. 10 hours a week, she says. Enough to keep you in gas and groceries. The library manager, Douglas, pretends not to notice when Martha shows me the staff shower in the basement. Once a week, he mutters without looking up from his computer. When we close on Sundays. Their kindness contrasts sharply with my family's betrayal. These strangers offer help without demanding pieces of my soul in return. 7 months pass this way. I work mornings at the library, afternoons at a small cafe, and weekends at Bernie's furniture shop. Every penny not spent on survival goes into a savings account. The van's grinding noise was fixed years ago by a mechanic who let me pay in weekly installments. At Bernie's, I discover an affinity for woodworking. He catches me studying an antique chest of drawers one day, running my fingers over the dovetail joints. "Want to learn how to restore these?" he asks. Soon I'm spending extra hours in his workshop, learning to breathe life back into discarded furniture. The symmetry isn't lost on me, restoration becoming my specialty. Tonight, exhaustion pulls at my bones after a 14-hour day between the cafe and an emergency repair job at Bernie's Alade. I park behind his shop, a spot he's never explicitly offered but never forbidden either. My eyes close before I can even unfold my sleeping bag. A sharp rap on my window startles me awake. Bernie stands there, arms crossed, expression unreadable in the dim light. "How long have you been sleeping here?" he asks. Bernie catches me rolling up my sleeping bag at 5:30 in the morning, the January frost turning my breath into ghosts. His key ring jingles in the darkness before the shop lights flood the back lot. "How long?" he asks, not bothering with pleasantries. 7 months. I fold the last corner of the sleeping bag with precision. "I'll be gone in 10 minutes. Bernie rubs his weathered neck, squinting at my van. "That heater working?" "Sometimes." He nods once, decision made. "Got a back room with a cot. Previous owner lived there, and I need someone full-time for restoration work." His voice holds no pity, just practicality. Park behind the dumpster, less visible from the street. That afternoon, I create a savings spreadsheet, each cell a brick in the foundation I'm building. The discipline of silence becomes the discipline of saving. Every penny tracked, every expense questioned. I volunteer for overtime, work weekends, holidays. The other employees avoid me, confused by my single-minded focus. "You're making the rest of us look bad," jokes Miguel, the delivery driver, when I arrive 2 hours early to refinish a mahogany table. I don't explain that my life depends on these hours, that this chance is everything, and that I will grab it no matter what. 2 years later, my bank account shows $30,652. All the hard work, all sleepless nights, all exhaustion and pain finally led to this. I stare at the number during my lunch break, eating the same peanut butter sandwich I've had every day since Bernie caught me sleeping in my van. The amount represents 730 days of careful calculations, of choosing work over any semblance of a social life, of saying no to movies, drinks, new clothes. "You ever going to spend any of that?" Bernie asks, peering over my shoulder at my bank statement. "House," I answer, taking another bite of my sandwich. "Might be time." Market's down. He slides a newspaper across the break room table. "This one needs work, but the bones are good." The real estate section shows a small 2-bedroom with peeling paint and sagging gutters. $94,000. Less than my goal of $100,000, but close enough that my heart quickens. That evening, an envelope arrives at the shop addressed to me. My mother's handwriting on the front. I almost throw it away unopened, but something makes me slide my finger under the flap. "Rain, your brother Corbin is very sick. The doctors say he needs specialized treatment. Please call us. We need your help. Family helps family." A phone number for Memorial Hospital follows. I call during my afternoon break, ask for patient information. "Corbin Ellison? Let me check." A pause. No patient by that name has been admitted in the past 6 months. I hang up, a cold weight settling in my stomach. Another lie. Another attempt to pull me back into their orbit of need and manipulation. Instead of rage, I feel a strange clarity. That night, I transfer the money I would have sent them $500 I'd mentally set aside just in case the emergency was real into my house fund. 2 weeks later, the real estate agent walks me through the small house on Maple Street. The carpet smells of dog. The kitchen cabinets hang crooked. But the foundation is solid, the roof new enough. "Do you want to bring family to see it before making a decision?" she asks, flipping through her clipboard. I hesitate, hand on the chipped banister. Was it time to rebuild those bridges? Or would inviting them into my new life just risk everything I'd worked for? "No," I finally answer, "but my boss might take a look at the structural elements." Bernie arrives the next day with his tool belt, tapping walls and crawling under the house. His wife Marla follows with a notebook, making a list of furniture dimensions. Got 3 dressers and a kitchen table in storage, she explains. Overflow from the shop. Take what you want. I can pay, I say quickly. Marla laughs. Bernie says you've been living like a monk for 2 years. Consider it investment in a good customer. When I sign the paperwork a week later, my hands remain steady. The pen doesn't shake. The money transfers from my account without fanfare. The keys feel impossibly light for objects representing everything I've worked toward. That night, I screw in a single porch light, the warm glow illuminating the small patch of yard that belongs to me now. On impulse, I take a photo and post it online with the caption, "From van life to my life." Within hours, my phone floods with messages from cousins, distant relatives, former classmates, people who never noticed when I disappeared. A message from cousin Tara catches my attention. So happy for you. Did you hear about Corbin and Lena? Sounds like they're having marriage troubles. Then my parents' text arrives. Beautiful home. Please send us your address so we can mail a housewarming gift. I turn off my phone and sit on my front steps, watching shadows play across my new lawn. For the first time in years, I have something they want, and for the first time, I have something worth protecting. And I will not allow anyone to take it from me. 2 weeks pass by in a blink of an eye. The doorbell chimes 3 times in rapid succession. I freeze, paintbrush suspended over the baseboard I've been refreshing all morning. No one knows my address except Bernie, his wife, and the local hardware store that delivers my supplies. I wipe my hands on a rag and approach the door cautiously. The peephole reveals a sight that turns my blood to ice water. Mom, Dad, Corbin, and a heavily pregnant woman I assume is Lena, all standing on my porch with bright, expectant smiles. My fingers hesitate on the deadbolt. For a moment, I consider pretending I'm not home, but their car parked in my driveway makes that impossible. I open the door just wide enough to stand in the gap. "Surprise!" Mom sings out, arms extended as if expecting a hug. "We finally found you!" Dad beams with unnatural cheerfulness. "Look at this charming little place. Perfect starter home." The word starter settles between us like a warning. I remain silent in the doorway, neither inviting them in nor sending them away. My silence has always made them uncomfortable. Today is no exception. "Aren't you going to invite us in?" Mom asks, her smile faltering slightly. "We drove all this way." I step back, allowing them entry because a confrontation on my front porch would draw attention from neighbors I've barely met. They file past me, eyes roaming over every surface of my home, assessing, calculating. "Nice work on the living room," Corbin says, running his hand along the bookshelf I built myself. "The basement finished yet? Lena and I could help with renovations while we stay down there." Lena nods eagerly, one hand resting on her rounded belly. "Corbin says you have tons of space for us." The presumption is so bold it momentarily steals my breath. I watch them move through my house as if they already own it. Dad checking the water pressure in the kitchen, Mom opening my refrigerator with a TSK of disapproval at its sparse contents, Corbin disappearing down the hallway toward the bedrooms. Family supports family during hard times. Mom announces, settling onto my couch without invitation. "That's always been our way." "Your father and I have been thinking," she continues, patting the cushion beside her. "With the baby coming and Corbin between jobs again, it makes sense for them to stay here while they get back on their feet." Corbin reappears, nodding. "We'd need the master bedroom, of course. The nursery could go in that second bedroom you're using as an office." He pulls a folded paper from his pocket. "I wrote up some house rules. Basic stuff, quiet hours, bathroom schedule, kitchen duties." Dad nods approvingly. "Very responsible, son." The familiarity of this moment, their casual dismissal of my boundaries, their assumption of my compliance sends a surge of heat through my chest. 7 years of independence crystallize into perfect clarity. Without a word, I walk to my office and return with a leather folder. I open it on the coffee table and spread out 7 years of financial statements, property documents, and the title to my house, my name alone, on every page. "This house isn't big enough for guests," I say, my voice steady and clear. "I need to focus on the renovations." Mom's face flushes. "But we're family. You can't just—" "I can," I interrupt, the sound of my own voice startling in its certainty. "And I am." Dad stands straighter, employing the stern posture that once made me shrink. "Rain, be reasonable. Corbin and Lena need help." "Yes, I agree. They do, but not from me." I move toward the front door and hold it open, a clear signal that this visit is concluded. They stare at me with expressions I recognize from my own face 7 years ago, disbelief that someone would actually enforce a boundary they've always freely crossed. One by one, they file out, stunned into rare silence. Rain, Mom tries one last time from the porch. What will people think? I close the door without answering. Their car remains in my driveway for 23 minutes. I know because I watch the clock, waiting for the sound of their engine starting before I allow myself to breathe normally again. 3 days later, I return from a business trip to Burlington, where Bernie sent me to evaluate an estate sale collection. The moment I turn onto my street, something feels wrong. A strange car sits in my driveway next to Corbin's old Honda. I park on the street and approach my house cautiously. The front door is locked as I left it, but when I try my key in the back door, it doesn't fit. The lock has been changed. Through the kitchen window, I see cardboard boxes stacked on my counters. Baby clothes and bottles scattered across my table. I circle to the basement entrance and find it propped open, light spilling from below. Corbin appears at the top of the basement stairs, jumping slightly when he sees me through the glass. "Hey, sis," he calls through the door, his voice muffled. "Surprise housewarming. We moved in while you were gone." When I don't respond, he unlocks the door, swinging it open with unearned confidence. "Before you freak out, we have a legal right to be here." He holds up a wrinkled document. "Rental agreement, signed by Dad as witness. We've established residency, which means you can't just kick us out without formal eviction proceedings." Lena appears behind him, cradling her belly protectively. "It's just until the baby comes, then maybe a few months after." Corbin smirks at my silence, mistaking it for surrender. Same old Rain, all quiet when things get tough. He turns to Lena. "Told you she wouldn't fight back." I pull my phone from my pocket and begin recording. Slowly, methodically, I document the broken lock, the damaged doorframe, the boxes of their possessions already unpacked in my kitchen. I film Corbin holding the forged lease, capturing his smug explanation of how they established residency while I was away. When I've gathered enough evidence, I step outside and dial 911, never taking my eyes off them through the window. I need to report a break-in at my residence. I tell the dispatcher, my voice calm. The intruders are still inside. The shock on Corbin's face when 2 police cruisers pull up is almost worth the violation of my home. He rushes outside, rental agreement in hand, confidence evaporating when the officers examine the broken lock and watch my video evidence. "This is a family matter," Corbin insists, his voice rising. "She's my sister." "Sir, family can still commit breaking and entering," the older officer explains, examining the document. "This isn't a legally binding lease, and even if it were, changing locks without the owner's permission is illegal." As they escort Corbin and Lena to their car to collect identification, I catch Corbin's eye. The revelation dawns slowly across his features. My silence was never a weakness. It was a strategy. 2 months pass without contact from any of them. Through cousins on social media, I hear rumors that Corbin and Lena have separated. My parents have disappeared completely from family posts and holiday photographs, as if they've been quietly erased. One Tuesday afternoon, I'm planting tulip bulbs along my front walkway when a car pulls into my driveway. Corbin steps out alone, cradling a small bundle against his chest. His son sleeps peacefully in his arms as Corbin stands uncertainly at the edge of my property, waiting for permission to approach. The scent of fresh paint clings to my fingers as I run my hand along the newly finished hallway. 3 coats of tranquil dawn cover walls that were once stained with someone else's memories. With each stroke of the brush, I've reclaimed another inch of space as truly mine. Through the window, I spot my old van parked in the driveway, no longer a necessity but a trophy. 7 years that metal shell kept me safe, and now it sits clean and proud on my property, a testament to how far I've come. I touch the latch of the window, a window I installed myself last month, and smile at the slight unevenness. Not perfect, but mine. My home office occupies what was meant to be a dining room. No formal meals needed when you eat standing at the kitchen counter most nights. Instead, a solid oak desk dominates the space, rescued from the discard pile at Bernie's shop and restored with 60 hours of my labor. The desk holds my laptop paid for in full, password protected, backed up to 3 different places. On the wall above hang my first paycheck from the library, the key to my van, and now, my course completion certificate in basic accounting. College comes in many forms. The librarian had told me when I confessed my dream of education had been stolen. 5 online courses later, I'm halfway to a degree that nobody can take from me. The doorbell rings, still startling after months of ownership. Through the peephole, I see Corbin shifting from foot to foot, overnight bag slung over his shoulder. The rules sheet crinkles in his hand. "You're early," I say, opening the door precisely 6 inches. "Checkout time from the van isn't until noon tomorrow." Jaden's got a fever. His voice lacks the entitlement it once carried. The van gets cold at night. I study his face for traces of manipulation but find only exhaustion. Shoes off at the door. Dishes done before bed. No entering my bedroom or office for any reason. I know the rules, Rain. He hands me the paper where I'd outlined all 14 boundaries in precise lettering. His signature at the bottom looks smaller somehow. 2 nights, I remind him, stepping aside. Once, he would have taken the entire house. Now he sleeps on my pull-out couch and washes his own sheets. The brother who sold my future follows my instructions about which cupboards he's allowed to open. The same hands that once took without asking now knock before entering rooms. Some lessons come through silence, others through written contracts that I enforce without apology. Later that evening, headlights sweep across my living room as Bernie's truck pulls into the driveway. His wife Carol carries a potted plant with yellow flowers, and behind them, Martha from the library clutches a bottle of wine. To building homes, not just houses. Bernie toasts once we're settled on the porch I built with lumber he taught me to select. The evening light softens their faces. These people who helped without obligation, who gave without taking pieces of me in return, their laughter fills spaces in my home that silence once occupied. After they leave, I watch Jaden build towers with blocks on my living room floor. His sister naps in the portable crib Corbin set up precisely where I indicated. On my bookshelf, accounting textbooks stand beside furniture restoration guides and the letter from Bernie offering me partnership in the shop. When headlights once again crawl across my driveway, my stomach tightens. My parents step from their car, standing awkwardly on the walkway I laid myself, stone by stone. "We were wrong," my father says when I open the door. The 3 words hang between us, insufficient but unprecedented. I don't invite them in. Instead, I motion to the chairs on the porch, a buffer zone between my sanctuary and their regret. As I watch my parents sitting stiffly on my porch, I wonder if some relationships can be rebuilt with stronger foundations, or if some damage runs too deep for true repair. Is maintaining distance sometimes the healthiest form of forgiveness? Inside, Jaden laughs at his toppling blocks. "Tomorrow, I'll teach him how to build something that stands."